fans. We're going to be talking about our goaltending coach today, as our spotlight is on Dave Rogalski. Born December 15th, 1980 in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. He began his playing career with his high school team, the Benilde St. Margaret's School, before graduating from there and playing one season with the Texas Tornado of the NAHL. He would finish out his playing career with 2 seasons in the NCAA 3rd Division with St. Mary's University. So all in all, while obviously making an NCAA squad and playing not too many games, but some over 2 seasons there with them, his playing career would stop. He would seemingly step away from the game for 7 years. Didn't dig too much into that gap here, but from what I can tell, it had nothing to do with hockey. Before he returned to a coaching role where he would bounce back and forth as both an official goalie coach and a volunteer goalie coach from 2010 through 2016 with both the St. Cloud State University and St. John's University. From there, he would transition to a goaltending consultant with the Sioux Falls Stampede of the USHL before he would split time there and get his first NHL gig in 2017-18 as a goalie development coach for the St. Louis Blues. Obviously, if you look at the years involved here, Rogalski would remain on as a development coach from 2017 to 2020, where in that first year he would cross paths with Marty Brodeur and would also be there when the Blues won their cup, and go a bit more into that in just a second. Finally, on October 23rd, 2020, Rogalski would get his first NHL goalie coaching position with the New Jersey Devils, where he has remained since. So on the ice, known as Rogie by his players, he's there to help with training, film breakdown, and skill development, not just for the goalies there in the system, but he also did lots of draft preparation, looking for goalies coming up, but also provided breakdowns and reports on opposing team goalies. The biggest feather in his cap is how much credit is given to Rogalski in working with Binnington on that crazy run to the Blues Cup, and given the fall off in Binnington's play since Rogalski's departure, I would say he's quite clearly got an effect on these guys in what he brings to the table. So if you just look at it in that facet, I mean, the guy clearly must know what he is doing. Off the ice, one story that I found that really encapsulates how much Rogalski cares about those he coaches is when Zane McIntyre made a fairly last-minute debut in a game for the Boston Bruins. Rogalski flew out, found a hotel, and attended the game because he felt like he had to be there for one of his previous players. Going forward, what we can expect with Rogalski is, I think, just very much tied to, as with a lot of coaches, team success, but maybe a little bit less so here, as clearly what Marty saw and heard in his short crossover time with the Blues is he brought Rogalski into our extensive goaltending core here. I think we have one of the biggest goaltending staffs in our front office and back office, however you want to put it. And between all of them, Marty having actual hands-on experience with a single season where him and Rogalski are both there with the Blues, and then obviously just trusting Marty and who he brings in, they think very, very highly of him. During his time here, I know obviously we had issues with Blackwood from high highs to low lows, but I mean, even free agency guys that we brought in when they didn't just retire on us or get injured, guys that have been developed mostly under Rogalski, we've seen dividends from. Schmid, Dawes are both looking fantastic. I mean, Wedgwood had gone out, even though most of his time was not when Rogalski was here, but it was, I believe, a season with him. Have gone on to do good things across the NHL. So yeah, I mean, his track record is pretty phenomenal. I would really think that as long as we continue to trend in the right direction, with our goaltending, and seemingly as long as Marty is here, which I assume will be forever, Rogalski is here to stay. Top 3, again, wasn't too much to go on here. Obviously, a fairly low-key coach. He chose to come here, and he is a Devil. 3 and 2. Those are obviously a recurring theme for me on these videos. I just think very highly of guys that see what we're building, want to be here, and stick it out with us. So always huge respect there for those guys. Coming in at number one, I'm going to say is just the interesting path that he took here. One point I want to make is he is the first coach or player to not have a Wikipedia page in any of my research doing any of these videos. So it was fun trying to piece together some articles that I could find to gather this information. And also that real 7-year gap, I mean, he didn't have the craziest playing career. I mean, high school, he had great stats, sure. But, high school goalies, outside of the really elite ones, I guess, I mean, even they are usually playing in junior much earlier. I mean, he got 10 games at a fairly junior level with the Texas Tornado, where he had an .875 save percentage. But, usually you don't have to be the best player to be the best coach. But it's really just interesting how he got scouted out and brought in, because his last year playing was in 2003, and then he got brought in as a goaltending coach in 2010, 7-year gap. So it's just a very, very interesting path he took. And then between those NCAA and NCAA, third tier division volunteer coaching positions, he then ends up in Sioux Falls, and one season there, he's already with the Blues. And then within 2 seasons, he's winning a cup with a goalie that almost essentially came out of nowhere as well, and then fell off once he left. So it almost seems like he could be a wonder kid type situation. Marty scouts this guy out and then brings him over to us. So we really could have a really great situation on a long-term thing going on with him here, and I hope that is the case, just given, like I said, his track record and what we are bringing up through our system here. So that's really going to cover it here on Rogalski. Originally, I was going to do this episode on Breland, and he was next up in the coaching tier list, if you want to put it that way, as our last assistant coach I haven't really covered. But, Breland's episode is going to be very beefy, especially compared to this one. It's a holiday. I want to get one of these out pretty quickly, as I have a lot going on today. I'm going to enjoy the beautiful weather on a holiday. Got the kids being babysat, so wife and I are getting a date day for the first time in a long while. So that's really going to do it for today's episode. The plan is probably to try and get that beefy Breland video in tomorrow. We will see how that goes. This is the first day back to work after a long holiday weekend. That finishes up. I hope everybody enjoys the holiday. Hopefully you all are not working, even though I know a lot of you are. Power to the working class. Working on Labor Day should be a crime. But anywho, that does it. Enjoy the day. As always, I will see you in the morning. And as far as our fandom with the Devils goes, we know it is forever. So let's go Devils.